We won. Okay?
Oh!
They are militarily defeated. Every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night, where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and
We're the good
never
guys,
to be
by the
used
way. Just
again.
want to
I
point
mean,
that out.
complete demolition.
This is good guys.
12 o'clock, and it'll
Good
happen
guy
over
stuff.
a period of.
Also, Trump just said Iran could be taken out in one night. Might be Tuesday night. All right, let's just go right into
Pilot,
it.
when you go.
All right, let's get to the questions. Let's see. Let's see if they will do a suck
I
job.
got to know General Kane in my first term because he was able to take out ISIS in 4 weeks instead of the 4-year projection that was given to me by other much lesser generals. And I said, you know, if I ever do
Much
this
lesser
again,
generals. We fired
that's
all of
going to
them.
be the head of my Joint
Some
Chiefs
of them were
staff.
black. Can you believe it? And women. They wanted women generals. We can't have women generals. Unbelievable.
In 4 weeks, I was told it would take 4 years. I flew to Iraq to find out with the greatest equipment in the world, why would it take 4 years? And he told me, sir, it won't. It'll take 4 weeks and you'll have time left over. And that's exactly what happened. So he's great. And Pete, all I can say is that he was treated very unfairly. And now those same people that treated him unfairly, that fought against him, they called me up saying, what a great choice he was. They said, well, what happened during his nomination? What happened to you? I'm telling you, people that were not for him, senators, friends of mine, sir, I don't think you're doing the right thing. Now they're calling me up. What a choice. These two guys are fantastic. And John Ratcliffe was incredible. It was actually their genius that called us from, he was 40 miles away. And he said, you know, we're seeing something moving up in the mountain. This is at night. And they kept the camera on him for 45 minutes. He wasn't moving. And they said, you know, probably wrong, but we're seeing something moving. This is a vast mountain. Vast, thick, with bushes, trees. He said, we see something moving 40 miles away. It was the head of a human being, I'm telling you, it's moving. And then all of a sudden, 45 minutes later, he moved a lot. He stood up, and they said, we have him. And that was really the beginning of something incredible. We had an idea where he was, but not specifically, and it's a big mountain. So I want to thank the CIA, too. I don't think they get enough credit for the great job they've done. Yes, please.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for this great opportunity. Country, it has super army. You make a difference, Mr. President. Thank you for your greatest leadership.
Oh, my God, bro.
I have two quick questions, Mr. President.
Bro, that's not a question.
What was your reaction when you learned that Kurdistan region had resumed exporting oil to the international market with your support as United States of America?
Well, I expected that. We've gotten along with the Kurds for a long time, so I expected that.
God damn, dude. What a
another question.
ridiculous situation we find ourselves in. Like, that's crazy.
If the Iranian people rise up against their regime during a ceasefire, Mr. President?
Well, they should do it, but again, the consequences are great.
President,
they were told
you are the greatest
if you
leader.
protest, you will be shot immediately. You saw what happened to the young wrestler. He was a great champion, by the way. He was a great wrestler, one of the top in the world. And he and his two friends were hung. And all they did was say a little bit about liberty.
See, that was a fought moment, okay? But I don't have the soundboard, so I can't say it. They were hanged.
But the number is up to probably 45,000 people were killed. So, you know, when somebody stays in a house, when they know if they walk out of the house to protest, they'll be immediately shot and killed. And they issued that, you know, that was publicly issued. It's not a secret. That's why so many people say, oh, well, why are you doing this way? We can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. You know, we got regime change. We do. We're dealing with a much different regime than before. We're dealing with different people. They're smarter. I think they're sharper and far less radical. We have regime change, but we didn't do this for regime change. We did it for the fact, and my view was very simple. I saw somebody said, oh, he doesn't have a plan. I have the best plan of all, but I'm not going to tell you what my plan is. You know, they want me to say, here's my plan. We're going to attack at 9:47 in the morning, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to... And if you don't do that, they say, I have a plan. these people know what the plan is. Everybody here knows what the plan is. But it's very unfair to say, because I don't mind being insulted. I've been insulted for many years by the fake news. But you can't.
Famously, Trump doesn't mind being insulted.
So bad for people that are so you just saw two great, and John Ratcliffe, three unbelievable people. They have a plan. Every single thing has been thought out by all of us. But I can't reveal the plan to the media. So, but we're just thrilled by the success of this operation. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You've said Iranians would be mad if you stopped these attacks, but why would they want you to blow up their infrastructure, to cut off their power? Wouldn't that be punishing Iranians for the actions of the regime?
They would be willing and it's suffering. They would be willing to suffer that in order to have freedom. The Iranians and we've had numerous intercepts. Please keep bombing. Bombs that are dropping near their homes. Please keep bombing. Do it. And these are people that are living where the bombs are exploding. And when we leave and we're not hitting those areas, they're saying, please come back, come back, come back. These are the people. I don't know what they do. All I can tell you is they want freedom. They have lived in a world that you know nothing about. It's a violent, horrible world where if you protest, you are shot. Remember the great woman protests where they had 400,000, 500,000 women, and they were all enthused and they were going to protest, and everybody said, oh, the regime's going to come to an end. And then all of a sudden, boom, boom, 5, 6 different areas. A woman would go down right between the eyes. They had snipers. They had 5 snipers. That's all it took. And those 400,000 or 500,000 women said, oh, my God, what's that? Oh, look over there. What's that? A woman shot right between the eyes. And after 5 or 6 of them go down, then you start hearing the purr through the vast number of people. And then they said, oh, my God, who would do that?
Yeah, except, first of all of this commentary is day one commentary. You can't continue to do this kind of, we're trying to liberate the Iranian people, when you are also saying we're bombing Iran back to the Stone Age, man. What is this argument? Like, he's awfully descriptive about the gruesome ways in which the Iranian government is like assassinating their own citizens. Meanwhile, buddy, you're the one who's killed. You're the one who has not only killed thousands, but you're also threatening to kill tens of thousands more.
Between the eyes, from a long distance, they were on top of buildings. Nobody even knew where they were. Where are they coming from? This wasn't like a machine gun, which is also very bad. They've done that too. They did that recently. This was snipers sitting on the top of buildings, aiming and hitting women. And when they see people go down, and all of a sudden there's a riot in the reverse direction, and they never came out again. And a lot of the news doesn't talk about that. They talk about, oh, women's rights. You want to see women's rights? You're not going to see it there. It's amazing when I see some of the stupid people like, AOC plus 3, all that group. They talk about, oh, freedom for Iran. They don't tell you the real facts. Women, men, gays. How about gays for Iran? They kill the gays. They throw them off buildings. So I wonder what's going on. I can only say this. They want us to keep bombing, even if it jeopardizes, because their life is in much greater danger. They want freedom for Iran, but it's very hard for them to protest. I actually tell them, I said, don't go out. I fully understand. Nobody in this room would go out.
I think there's a new technique out here that we haven't really accounted for, which, as I've said over and over again, lying is OP, right? Lying is OP, please nerf. But I also think Donald Trump he just occupies space, right? He'll make both sides of the same argument. On the one hand, he's like, Iranians are barbaric monsters. We're going to bomb them back to the Stone Age. They're animals. We need to destroy their electricity. We need to destroy their energy grid. And then he'll turn around and be like, and the Iranian government, they're so violent. We're actually doing this to protect the Iranian people. And I think for his own audience, like, they don't really care. It's not, like, consistency is utterly irrelevant at this point. Where it's just more so that they get to hear their beautiful president talk, right? Their big, beautiful president talk. and they'll repeat the things that he's saying. And they also have no care or consideration for being consistent at all. It's not even about like making an argument. It's preaching to the converted. And because there's plenty of converted already, it just kind of doesn't matter at this point what he says. It doesn't matter that he's like incapable of presenting a cohesive, coherent narrative here, right? It's so strange. I mean, given that foreign policy is perhaps the most removed from the pressures of the majority, democratic pressures entirely, as we've seen in the past 2.5 years with the genocide in Gaza and the demands to put an end to it, even during an election cycle. I kind of understand why Trump has this what are you going to do about it attitude. But it still is shocking how cult-like his audience is, how cult-like his fan base is at this point, that they don't even question the contradictions that Donald Trump represents in the exact same speech that he's delivering.
Into this journey, hundreds of people could have been killed. Forget about the equipment, a lot of equipment, nobody cares. Hundreds of people could have been killed. So we had people that were within the military that said this is not a wise, and I understood that, but I decided to do it.
Was there a point that that you were thinking there's too much on the line, and somebody was saying maybe we abort this now and wait? I mean, given the resource, like the general said, it seemed like there was so much on the line here. You must have been thinking, well, this could have completely changed.
So the first one, which was in many ways as dangerous as the second, I guess it gets, because we're flying over daylight. You know, we're the best at the world at night. We have goggles that nobody. We have goggles. I've tried them. They're unbelievable. I see better with the goggles at night than I see without them during daylight. I mean, daylight today, we have a beautiful day. You see just as well with goggles. In many ways, it's
incredible.
Enhanced.
Thank you, sir.
So we have the best in the world. So it's much safer for us to do it at night. Whereas other people, no other country has that capability. They don't have that particular.
He's what we call in psychiatry, psychoanalysis, a mirror. He has an ability to say everything, and those listening will fight the dissonance and crazy making by pulling out what they need to hear to keep external/internal order. Vance is a kaleidoscope. It's interesting. I mean, that does make sense. Your explanation does make sense. Like he's giving people enough. If you are, let's say, a Persian diaspora monarchist, for example. You hear him talk about the ruthlessness of the IRGC, and you hear that, and that's fine. That's enough for you. You don't care about the fact that he's also saying, let's bomb Iran back to the Stone Age. You just like choose to not hear that. And if you're the type of person who thinks, you know, Iranians are barbaric, then it's great. We should bomb them back to the Stone Age. For example, one of the funniest things that Republicans do, conservatives in general do this, they'll talk about the conservatism of enemy states, right? Conservatives here that are genuinely advancing the exact same social forces, the social pressures, the regressive social pressures, will turn around and talk about how ridiculous it is that, you know, look at the way that they're treating the gays in Iran. And it's like, well, brother, your Supreme Court just, struck down a gay conversion therapy ban in the state of Colorado. That's just torturing young gay teenagers. That's literally just now officially legalized torture. Like, it's not all that different, right? It's not all that different. It's just that the material realities are different in America as opposed to Iran. America's a much wealthier, much more prosperous country, obviously, and therefore, we don't have style groups yet, as they did in Syria and Iraq. But I always explain to you, all these like Patriot Prayer rally goers and the Oath Keepers and whatnot would behave exactly the same way as this would if the American economy resembled the Iraqi economy, for example. So that's the only reason why. Like they have material comforts that allow them to go and do these like weekend journeys where they train and LARP, and then they go back to eating jalapeno poppers all the same. They go back to watching sports on the TV all the same. But if they didn't have those amenities, they didn't have those treats, and if the economy resembled a war economy, like a bombed out, hollowed out economy of like Iraq, they would be doing the same shit the gays was doing, right?
This should have been handled by 7 presidents, a lot of presidents. And those presidents are saying now, every one of them to their friends, we should have done this a long time ago. So it's not something I like doing. It's very dangerous, and we're getting them at the height of their strength. If I didn't
I'd be lying
terminate
to you,
Barack
though,
Hussein-
if I acted as though this is not something I'm jealous of. Yeah, that's Trump's incredible power as a politician. People who like him just pick and choose what they believe from what he says. If it's something they don't like, they just can say he doesn't mean that or he's just talking. It never breaks through. Every Trump supporter thinks Trump thinks exactly like them. There's almost an evangelical style personal relationship with God, but with Trump. Exactly. And Trump is a manifestation of God. He is like a prophet. He is treated like a prophet. But yeah, that's precisely what it is. Oh, wait, what is he talking about?
Remember when he filled up a 757 with cash, billions of dollars of cash, and he sent it over to them. Then they gave them tens of billions of dollars. He chose Iran over Israel and really the Arab world, if you look, because, you know, the other, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE. I mean, you take a look. I mean, I can add Kuwait and I can add Bahrain, and you can add others. He chose such an unlikely candidate. Nobody could believe it. Frankly, if you're going to choose between Iraq and Iran, he should have befriended Iraq. He went in the exact opposite direction of all thinking, and he made a terrible mistake. But that was a road to a nuclear weapon. And when I terminated that, everyone said, oh, he terminated it. It was one of the best things we ever did because he had a road to a nuclear weapon. And it was a very short-term deal. You know, countries don't do 10-year deals. Countries do hundreds of years. You don't do a 10-year deal. For a country, this isn't, you're a landlord and you're renting a store on a certain street and you give somebody a 5-year or a 10-year lease. This is a country. It was a short-term deal. It was ready to expire. I terminated it before it expired. Took a lot of heat, and it was one of the best things I ever did because he would have had a nuclear weapon. Then he would have had another nuclear weapon. Had those beautiful B-2 bombers not gone in 8 months ago and obliterated that site. And by the way, the word is obliteration. CNN said, well, maybe it wasn't complete. It was so complete that they still haven't been able to get it. It was obliteration. But if we didn't hit them, that was a courageous decision, too, because we had all those planes flying in at night with very little cover, unbelievable stealth planes, and they were able to do their job. If we didn't do that, Iran would have had a nuclear weapon at a high level, either one of those two instances.
A nuclear weapon at a high level, not at a low-level nuclear weapon.
I told this to Bibi Netanyahu yesterday. Israel would have been extinguished. Large portions of the Middle East would have been extinguished, whether it's Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, or others. And you saw that with thousands of missiles raining down upon them. They didn't think they were going to be hit. They thought they'd be watching us fight. And all of a sudden, UAE got hit by 1,500 missiles. He would have taken them out also. And they were powerful. If I didn't come along and terminate the Obama deal, which was terrible, the Iran nuclear deal was
Another contradiction from the Republican perspective that I always find very strange is the fact that Republicans are supposed to demonstrate like the maximum manifestation of American exceptionalism, American individualism, and selfishness, right? And they've shown that when it comes to Ukraine, right? Cast aside your own personal opinion on like why Russia invaded Ukraine or whatever right? And remember that Republicans, under the directive of Donald Trump, very quickly launched an argument that we shouldn't defend Ukraine at all, right? And we shouldn't be spending money on Ukraine at all. And that although they are engaging in a defensive war, trying to purge a Russian invasion from their national boundaries, that was totally and wholly unjustifiable, our support, right? And what's really interesting is that they don't have that same ambition for Israel. You could absolutely make this argument on moral grounds to not to discontinue our endless and unlimited support to Israel. We've given a tremendous amount more support to Israel. And now, in the process of waging Israel's war on Iran, we've actually lost a shit ton more of our assets and even put our soldiers, active duty soldiers, in the line of fire. Some of them have died. Hundreds of casualties the Iranian resistance has delivered hundreds of casualties. We don't even know the full numbers. And it's really strange that Republicans don't turn around and have a similar isolationist attitude towards Israel.
Mr. President, thank you so much. You've listed the goals. Excuse me.
Please, go ahead.
You've listed the goals. Thank you, Mr. President.
Who you with? Who you with?
My name is Dia Kurd. I'm with the largest Kurdish media outlet, Ruda Media Network. It's based in Iran.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, you said before that you don't want the Kurdish forces to enter Iran and be harmed. Do you still want them to stay away? Or what role do you expect them to play now?
I'd rather have them stay away.
And then,
I'd rather have them stay away because I think they bring with them some problems and some difficulties. And I don't think they bring death, I mean, to themselves. But I'd rather have them stay away. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the question. Deliberate attacks on civilian infrastructure violate the Geneva Conventions and international law.
Who you with?
I'm with the New York Times. Zolan from the New York Times. Are you
failing?
Are you concerned?
Circulation way down at the New York Times.
Are
What's
you
going
concerned
on
that your threat to bomb power plants and bridges amount to
No,
war
not at
crimes?
all. No, I'm not. I hope I don't have to do it. But again, I just said 47 years they've been negotiating with these people. They're great negotiators, and because they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And if somebody that takes my place someday is weak and ineffective, which possibly that will happen because we had numerous presidents that were weak, ineffective, and afraid of Iran, we're never going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And if you think it's okay for people that are sick of mind, that are tough, smart, and sick, really sick, from a policy standpoint, from a standpoint, any which way you want to say, mentally, these are disturbed people. If you think I'm going to allow them, and powerful and rich, to have a nuclear weapon, you can tell your friends at the New York Times, not going to happen.
America and Israel objectively are more malign forces around the globe, and yet both of these countries have nuclear arms. Okay? I'm very sincerely saying this, and I don't think there's any dispute. If you are remotely critical about if you have the capabilities of analysis here, you look at the belligerent ways in which Israel and America have conducted themselves, and you look at the ways, oftentimes the restrained ways in which, I meant malignant. Did I say maligned? I'm sorry. But you look at the ways in which Israel and America have conducted themselves. The reality is clear. Iran is a much more restrained. Iran is a much more restrained actor here. They are much more stable. Okay, America and Israel, on the other hand, are insane. Both of these countries also have their own version of like weird theological justifications for their unlimited violence. Israel obviously has the Greater Israel Project, and America has white evangelical Christianity, white evangelical Zionism as well. Both are very violent projects, and they're violent domestically with domestic repression, Israel's occupation of Palestinians, America's occupation of the undocumented migrants and black and brown people in general, and then also a shit ton of ultra violence when it comes to their foreign policy as well.
So a lot of people are affected by this, but we're giving them till tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time, and after that, they're going to have no bridges. They're going to have no power plants.
But even this statement alone.
Stone Ages, yeah.
Iran has not said such a thing. Iran has not said such a thing about America nor Israel, really. And they have every right to do so. They were attacked first.
Reopening the Strait of Hormuz, or is that now a top priority?
I would say it's a very big priority because, see, that's one thing that's a little different than other things. We can bomb the hell out of them. We can knock them out for a loop. But to close the strait, all you need is one terrorist that somehow has a truck loaded with, because you can carry them in trucks, large trucks.
What?
A water mine. Drop them in the water.
A truck?
And now you tell people that own ships that cost $1 billion.
Does he think the Strait of Hormuz is on land?
You can do that even just by saying we put mines in the water. So it's not like the rest. We can knock out their military. We already have. We've knocked out their Navy. We've knocked out their Air Force completely. We've knocked out 158 ships in 3 days. We've knocked out even their mine droppers. They don't have any mine droppers anymore, but they put them on other boats, and they could drop them. I'm not even sure they have any mines there, by the way. I'm not sure. I'm personally, they say there might be 8. I don't know. I think there might be none because they're very good bullshit artists. That's why for 47 years they've been bullshitting other presidents.
Does he think like trucks load up water mines and they just like roll it off of a hill?
You live in that country. They're living in hell.
Like he thinks the IRGC is like rolling off mines off of a hill into the water.
They're
from
at
the back of a
weakest
truck
point they've ever been. They have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft weaponry, they have no radar, they have no communication. In fact, the biggest problem we have in our negotiation is that they can't communicate. I said to Steve, what are they saying? Sir, they can't communicate. They have no method of communication. So we're communicating like they used to communicate 2,000 years ago with children, bringing a note back and forth. They have no communication. But all I want to see is I want to have a safe world, and you're not going to have a safe world. Israel will be gone. The Middle East will be gone. And then they're coming for Europe. And I have to tell you, I'm very disappointed in NATO.
So if they're
I think that NATO,
incapable of communication, how are they tweeting and doing media hits over and over again?
To see me on Wednesday, they're going to say, oh, we'll do this, we'll do that. Now they all of a sudden want to send things, But they said it loud and clear at the beginning. When I spoke to UK of all, I would have said they would have been the first because they're the oldest. And
also,
say,
yes, of course he's admitting that there's no negotiations.
I said, no, sir, we'd rather wait till you win. I said, I don't need help after we win. They have 2 old broken aircraft carriers, barely work. I said, I guess we can use them. Who the hell knows? I called the general. He didn't even want them. He said, we don't really need them. We got the SS Abraham Lincoln, sir. We don't need them. We have, in terms of technology, we had one day 101 missiles going at 2,700 miles an hour, aimed at the Abraham Lincoln. 101 missiles. Out of 101 missiles, 101 missiles were shot down. Unbelievable technology. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I don't know if that would have been possible, but 10 years ago, that wouldn't have been possible. 101 missiles heading to a ship that's not that far off the coast. And out of the 101 missiles, we shot down all 101. We have weaponry. The Patriots are unbelievable. We have weaponry that's unbelievable, yeah.
Just to clarify.
Go ahead, please. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said earlier today during the egg roll that you would like to take Iran's oil, but Americans want U.S. forces home.
Correct.
What's that trade-off?
If I had my choice, yeah, because I'm a businessman first. With Venezuela, as you know, the war was over in about 45 minutes. And we have great people running Venezuela, very good people. I mean, the relationship is good. And we are a partner with Venezuela. And we've taken hundreds of millions of barrels, hundreds of millions. Over 100 million barrels already is in Houston, refined and out. And paid for that war many, many times over, many times over. The old days, to the victim. Okay, you know that. To the winner belong the spoils. Go the spoils. And I've said, why don't we use it? To the victor, go the spoils. And we don't have that. We haven't had that in this country probably in 100 years, because even the Second World War, you look at the Second World War, we didn't have it with the Second World War. We helped rebuild all those countries. We rebuilt Germany. How about Germany telling us that, well, it's not their war. We had nothing to do with it. They wanted me to go and tell them everything I was doing. We didn't know anything about it. Well, if I would have told them, they would have leaked it, and we wouldn't have been nearly as successful, possibly, right? But to the victor belong the spoils. So we haven't heard that in, I think, maybe hundreds of years. Now with Venezuela, and we, just so you understand, the people of Venezuela, they say if I ran for president of Venezuela, I'm polling higher than anybody has ever polled in Venezuela. So after I'm finished with this, I can go to Venezuela. I will quickly learn Spanish. It won't take too long. I'm good at language. And I will go to Venezuela. I'm going to run for president. But we're very happy with the president-elect that we have right now. The people that are running it. If you remember Bush with Iraq, they fired the generals, they fired the police, they fired the people that worked in their equivalent of the White House. They fired everybody. And you know what they had? They had a mess. And you know what happened? ISIS formed. Those
okay, he's not wrong about this. He's not wrong about this.
The police got together. They all got together.
He is right about this. He's
ISIS.
saying, like, the reason why we are operating with the same system, but with, like, significantly larger levers of coercion is because in the absence of that, the instability born out of, like, a bombing campaign and permanent military occupation and just, like, destroying regular civil society, ironically enough, what he's trying to do in Iran, would be devastating for Venezuela, and we wouldn't be able to extract that sweet oil from the ground.
They were all set. They saw that big, beautiful aircraft carrier, the Ford in that case, and planes were pouring off it at 1 o'clock in the morning. So typically, when you see that late at night, you know, you could be in trouble.
To be fair to Trump, or what he's saying here, he's trying to make it seem like he has a totally new attitude, a totally new version of neocon war hawkery. And in some ways it is true, right? Except I guess it's not always the same. Like in Iran, as long as there is like some resistance on the ground, it's very clear that he will go back to business as usual, aerial bombing campaigns, and maybe even boots on the ground military warfare.
To people, they pressed the button, nothing happened. They pressed it again and again, nothing happened. And he said, we knew this whole thing was over in 3 minutes. We've never seen any, he used the word ferocity. The ferocity of these planes from 17 different angles, and it was over. They went inside. And remember, that was on a military base with thousands of soldiers. And those soldiers looked and they said, get the hell out of here. Thousands. We didn't have thousands. We had like 200 people. So we have a great military. And I'll tell you what, somehow this rescue captured the world's attention, more so than normally. You're talking about 2 people. But this rescue captured the world's attention. But we did it in Venezuela. That was amazing. And now we have a very bad man in prison and going to trial. I mean, he
Bro,
released,
you are the very bad man.
Aside from the drugs, which he
like,
was
like, this is another part of the puzzle, which is like, who gives a about what any other country's president does? As an American, you can have that attitude and that's fine, right? I mean, it's just a lie that we tell ourselves that we care about liberating these people anyway. But also, our president is a far, far worse actor than any other president in any other country. Okay, just on foreign policy alone. Look at what we're doing currently to the rest of the planet. Look at what we're doing currently to the rest of the planet. And he's like openly saying like they're animals. We're going to bomb them into oblivion. We're going to kill all of them. Literal convicted doing to the rest of the planet.
Anymore. Right. So maybe 1 or 2 more and we'll be done.
Mr. President, are you allowed to...
He's right. The world respects America now and will think twice before messing with it. Yeah, no, definitely.
For passage through the strait.
He's answering questions for 2 hours standing at 80 years old. Dude, oh my God, Trump Glazers are so funny. Oh my God. Hold on, I got to listen to this.
We're the winner. We won. Okay?
Oh!
They are militarily defeated. The only thing they have is the psychology of, we're going to drop a couple of mines in the water, all right?
That's not what they've done. They're collecting tolls.
We'll charge tolls, okay? I thought you meant us. Your question would have been more accurate if you said us. Go ahead.
So just to clarify, in order for Iran to successfully meet your deadline tomorrow, do they have to make a deal, open the strait, or both?
We have to have a deal that's acceptable to me. And part of that deal is going to be we want free traffic of oil and everything else.
Mr. President, thank you very much. You've said glory be to God in this conflict. Do you believe that God supports the United States' actions in this war?
I do, because God is good. Because God is good, and God wants to see people taken care of. God
Iranians
like
are the crazy. Iranians are the crazy religious zealots, by the way.
I don't enjoy this. I don't enjoy it. These 2 guys don't enjoy it.
How is this any different? They say the same shit. We literally are doing the same.
I don't like seeing people killed.
We're LARPing. We're LARPing like we are the Ayatollah.
The person who won the Nobel Prize
came
to me and said,
council of clerks that elected this
When they announced, they said, goes to Maria. She's a great person, really a good person. She said, no. This is ridiculous. They gave me the Nobel Prize. President Trump ended 8 wars. I could go over every one of them, including India and Pakistan, where the Prime Minister of Pakistan said, President Trump saved from 30 to 50 million lives. That makes me much happier than what we're doing right now. That makes me much happier. We have one more to end, by the way.
President, he's like, come on, I ended 8 fake wars. Let me get a new one.
Crazy bastards.
True.
What is your response to critics who say that...
I don't care about critics.
What is your response to critics who say that it is your mental health that should perhaps be examined as this war continues?
I haven't heard that. But if that's the case, you're going to have more people like me, because our country was being ripped off on trade, on everything, for many years until I came along. So if that's the case, you're going to have more people. Dasha, go ahead. Dasha, go.
You said that very little is off limits in Iran as far as targeting, including power plants, bridges. You've mentioned those.
Very little is off limits.
Are there certain kinds of civilian targets, though? I'm thinking schools
I don't want to tell you
that.
I don't want to tell you that. We have a plan, because of the power of our military, where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night, where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and
we're the good
never
guys,
to be
by the
used
way.
again.
Just want to point that
complete demolition.
This is good guy shit.
By 12 o'clock. And it'll
good
happen over
stuff.
a period of 4
hours. This is how you speak when you want to liberate a people.
We don't want that to happen. We may even get involved with helping them rebuild their nation. And you know what? If that's the case, the last thing we want to do is start with power plants, which are among the most expensive things, and bridges. You saw the bridge. The bridge went. We were very close to a deal. And then I got a call from Mr. Witkoff, Mr. Kushner, and J.D. saying, I think they're breaking the deal. I said, tell them that's okay. Don't worry about it. But tell them to look out their window and watch. And within 45 minutes, I gave the order to knock out the biggest bridge. I gave the order, knock out the biggest bridge in, I believe, the Middle East, but the biggest bridge in Iran. And within 10 minutes after I gave that order, that bridge was over. So do I want to do that? No. Do I want to destroy their infrastructure? No. It will take them 100 years to rebuild. Right now, if we left today, it would take them 20 years to rebuild their country, and it would never be as good as it was. And the only way they're going to be able to rebuild their country is to utilize the genius of the United States of America.
You voiced your displeasure with NATO in the past. Is there a danger to the U.S. not being the de facto of the leader of the alliance, and then other powers within the alliance then getting the decision making when it comes to wars and nuclear weapons?
No, it's not a danger. Look, we went to NATO. I didn't ask very strongly. I just said, hey, if you want to help, great. No, we will not help. I said, that's all right. You don't want to help? Because I've always said NATO's a paper tiger. See, NATO's a paper tiger. Putin's not afraid of NATO.
NATO
Putin's afraid
is
of us, very afraid of us.
Strategic alliance.
Explained it to me a lot of times.
Calling NATO a paper tiger is calling America a paper tiger, which is, technically not true. I mean, it's technically true. So
when we needed them, we didn't need them, by the way.
We are NATO. NATO is nothing without us.
Obviously,
what are we talking
they haven't
about?
helped at all. Just the opposite.
He's
They've
so
actually gone
stupid.
out of their way not to help. They didn't even want to give us landing strips. Think of it. And it's not just NATO. You know who else didn't help us?
Okay, this does
South
actually
Korea.
confirm my theory, though. It is J.D. Pandon. It is J.D. Pandon. He is a Maoist third worldist. He just keeps saying America, and America's extension, NATO, is a paper tiger. It's very clearly third world to speak. My president is doing permanent first world genocide. Let's be...
To protect us from Kim Jong-un, who I get along with very well, as you know. Do you notice he said very nice things about me? He used to call Joe Biden a mentally retarded person, okay? So don't tell me about your stuff. Joe Biden, he said he's a mentally retarded person. He was so nasty to Joe Biden. It was terrible. But to me, he likes Trump. And do you notice how nice things are with North Korea? It's very nice. But we have 45,000 people, soldiers, in harm's way, right next to Kim Jong-un with a lot of nuclear weapons. 45, which should have never happened if a certain president, I'm not going to mention this president because I happen to like him, believe it or not, but if a certain president did his job, Kim Jong-un would not have nuclear weapons right now. But they were all afraid to do their job properly. But just to conclude and just to finish, Japan didn't help us, Australia didn't help us, South Korea didn't help us, and then you get to NATO. NATO didn't help us. There were some countries that did. Now, countries that have been good, now you could also say they're got to be a little bit more involved because they're in the territory, but Saudi Arabia has been excellent. Qatar has been excellent. UAE has been excellent. Bahrain, Kuwait. I mean, Kuwait did shoot down 3 of our planes. The only planes, really, that we lost with friendly fire.
True.
I call it unfriendly fire. They unfortunately didn't know how to use our great Patriots. The pilot said, what kind of a missile's coming at us? Patriot. Boom, they got out. Because they know a Patriot never misses. So they had beautiful Patriots. There were planes heading in their direction. Unfortunately, they decided to shoot those planes. They were our planes. So, NATO is a paper tiger. Now, he's coming to see me on Wednesday, as you know. He's a wonderful guy. Secretary General is great. And Mark Rutte, he's a great person, but
he calls me daddy.
And it all began with...
That's why he likes him. Because Mark Rutte calls
Greenland.
Trump daddy.
They don't want to give it to us. And
daddy,
I said,
yeah.
Bye-bye.
Mr. NATO.
Okay, thank you very much,
you, Mr. President. You are daddy.
What about rising gas prices for Americans who are concerned? General King, how are you
that was something. I mean, I don't know how to explain what we just watched. I mean, that was definitely somewhat more productive, I guess, than the address that he had to the nation. But overall, most of the questions in that room were literally like, Mr. President, you're the GOAT. Mr. President, you are the greatest. You are the legend. I love you. Mr. President, can you f my wife? What do you think about, giving nuclear weapons, more nukes to Israel? Like, Mr. President, everyone is saying you have the fattest. What do you have to say about that? Stuff like that. Very cool things. Very productive session overall, and convinced more than ever that the 25th Amendment is fictional scripture. Yes. I mean, all rules are worth nothing if you don't actually utilize them when it's necessary, right? So none of these regulations matter. None of these rules matter if we're not willing to use them for their design purpose, right? And that's basically what it is. Rules don't really exist as it stands currently because the Trump administration does not care. Trump was even more insane, apparently, earlier in the morning before he did the White House press conference when he was getting out of his plane. Let's take a look at what some of his choice quotes from then.
How is it taking care of the Iranian people if you're bombing?
Yeah, who you with? Who you with?
He always asks who are you with. Like, he used to do that exclusively for like CNN and New York Times and whatnot back in the day. Now he just like, anytime someone asks a contentious question, he's like, who are you with? 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 Who are you with?
Well, that's a radical left group of lunatics that you're with. Let me just tell you, very fair question. The Iranian people, when they don't hear bombs go off, they're upset. They want to hear bombs because they want to be free. And the only reason they're not out protesting, you know that, is because they were informed that if they protest, like the wrestler and his friends, if they protest, they will be shot immediately. And that's an edict. That's in writing.
Yeah, he's liberating them from their mortal coil. Classic American response, classic American take. When you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. He's just, I mean, they're gonna try and turn Iran into Gaza, clearly, and then claim that this is like liberating the Iranians from the IRGC, just like Israel liberated the Palestinians from Hamas. Some logic there. They love hearing the bombing is the craziest thing I've ever heard. Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievably stupid, and yet it works. I mean, everything works. When you think about it, he can say whatever he wants, really, because it's not like there's two problems here, okay? Number one, even if the overwhelming majority of Americans are like, why are we doing this? We should stop this right now, which is the case. That is what's going on currently. That is what the overwhelming majority of Americans are saying. It doesn't really matter because we are less responsive than ever before to democratic pressures, right? Like, unlike ever before. I mean, one could make the argument that we were never really responsive when it comes to foreign policy. Foreign policy is bipartisan. It's uniparty. It doesn't really matter. And it's done at the behest of capital owners, sure. But like this level of unpopularity is not even shaking the administration's confidence. Okay? That's number one. Number two, he maintains his base. He maintains his base of support no matter what he says. No one is holding him to account.